Hey, 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 beautiful people. We are back again for Big Brand Small Business. We are talking about FedEx again, this revolutionizing logistics company. And we talked not last week, but the week before about this, this fabulous brand, who owned it, who started it, where they are today. And it was very interesting company. And I went away for a second. Can you hear me still?
I can hear you, but you're lost, like your face gone, but I can hear you.
Is my face gone?
Yes, but I can hear you.
How? Why does this happen? Why does this happen when we go live? It never happens behind the scenes, but when you go live, it's like the whole app want to act funny. Listen, as soon as I'm done explaining this to y'all, I'm gonna dip out and dip back in because listen, StreamYard, get it together. So so I just wanted to make sure that we understood what this looks like, okay? And we talked last week about the origins that FedEx was founded by Frederick W. Smith, a visionary who conceived the idea for the company during a time as a student at Yale University. And his idea came from a term paper that he theorized a system that could ensure overnight delivery of time-sensitive documents, parcels,
Yep.
and it was very a radical idea for the 1970s. Delivery systems were slow, they weren't reliable, and his concept really did center around a what they call a hub and spoke model, where they allow the efficient packaging, sorting, and rapid distribution. Now, that came from a freaking term paper. So I want us to dig a little deeper into this because as we were talking, TeeCee, last time, we talked about the milestones, the birth of FedEx, how he founded it in Little Rock, Arkansas, and that they had, financial struggles too in the beginning. And then they eventually relocated operations to Memphis, Tennessee, where they would be able to thrive. So those challenges he had in the location he was in, he did not allow that to stop him from expanding and growing with his business. He pretty much avoided the limitations and decided to make a move. And then in 1973, he launched an overnight delivery service. So after he decided to move, he had to expand and do something a little different. So that overnight delivery was actually an innovative service that became the hallmark of the brand, and it revolutionized the logistics. So I want to stop there because FedEx in 1994 ended up rebranding. But some of the challenges that we talked about last time over the years, that despite their groundbreaking innovations, FedEx faced all kinds of challenges. And one of the major hurdles was their operational costs, the scale, complexity of maintaining a fleet of aircraft, ground vehicles, employees globally, right? And I think that this is something that happens a lot in our companies too. And I really love the fact that we have examples, like like Mr. Smith here, we can actually look at how he took all of his passion for what he wanted to do, his knowledge for what he accumulated about the economy and the market, and then applying that to that brand so that people can get results. And this is what I see in this brand. They were giving people the results that they needed at the time that they needed it, even though they didn't know how to get those results. So I want to stop there, TeeCee. I'm going to pass it over to you and fix my face on here. But yeah, I would love to hear your feedback on that. And then we'll get back into you guys, ask your questions in the comments, and we would love to share.
Okay, so personally, I admire the beginning of this brand. I admire the beginning of this brand because earlier when we had this conversation, yes, this is like the second time we're having this conversation because this brand is different. It's different because of its humble beginnings, because of the fact that I feel like out of all of the brands that we have taken interest in, under the big brands, small brands, this particular brand FedEx has been like it's been different because I mean Frederick literally decided to get on this project. Yes, I call it project because it wasn't initially a business idea. It was just It was his term paper that he was bringing to Fusion, you know. And personally, for me, I would be like, it could be like a 50-50 thing, right? Would it work? Would it not work? And when we think about it, he started off as a student. He started off with an idea and he made it into a full blown multi-billion. Okay, I don't know how much they're worth right now, but I'm sure they're into the billions already, right? And I'm very sure that they are everywhere. I mean, they're across board. Now, the question is, what was the intention? What was the motivation? And I believe that this is a place where so many of us find ourselves. You know, we all start from an idea. We all start up for something we believe in, because he so believed in his term paper. He saw it, he did his research, and he's like, no, this is not just an idea. This is something that's going to be so great, and I want to get it working. I want to try. I want to see it, because I believe it's a solution that people need, right? And the truth is, thinking about it and trying to analyze what was going through Frederick's mind, Allegra, in my head, I'm like, what if it didn't work? I mean, what if it didn't work? You know, that's one question so many of us ask ourselves. Oh, we want to do this business. Oh, our minds are telling us, okay, you know what, this business is something we need to do. People want us, people need us. But there's this other side of our minds telling us, what if it doesn't work? Now my question is, how do you know if it will work and if it doesn't work, if you don't give it your all, if you don't give it your 150%? Now, today we're going to talk about the half side, because we talked about a good number of things when it, FedEx, its foundation, how it was launched overnight, and all of that, few weeks ago. Now, today we're going to be talking about the branding section, the challenges, what they had to go through, what their brand really stood up from, and how they've been able to sustain that brand. I mean, it's amazing when I think about it. But I want you, while you're listening, to work with us on this so that you're able to see the transition, you're able to see the transformation, and you're able to understand that whatever you have currently might start off as, it could start off as an idea. It could start off as maybe it wouldn't work, but you would never know what would work and what wouldn't work unless you put in your all, unless you put in your 150%. And while we think about Frederick's disappointments, Frederick's obstacles, Frederick's wins, we should try to picture ourselves in these positions. Picture ourselves, in all of the falls, and then ask yourself one simple question: where you currently are, the business that you've been stalling, the business that you've been waiting for the perfect time, are you the reason why you're yet to grow? Are you the reason why you're yet to scale? So I just want us to think about that while we, hop into this conversation, and why Allegra, breaks down the challenges, the marketing analysis, the branding, and what you should take out of FedEx, entire business plan today. Over to you, Allegra.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me good now. Awesome. So here's what I love about that, TeeCee, is that, we look at businesses as though they are like the model of something that we can't be like, right? Like I've heard this before. Well, that's FedEx, I'm not FedEx. I have a smaller company, and my company's still in the beginning, and I'm just still working out the kinks, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And, and so I want to emphasize something here, because one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm looking at the intentionality. You're right, TC. There's got to be something that he was doing in his own self to be able to keep pressing forward. Right? There had to have been something that made him say, you know what, no matter what challenges I'm going through, I'm going to grow through them, and I'm not going to beat myself up if it doesn't feel easy. I heard someone say, it doesn't it shouldn't it basically they want to kind of have like a soft life, right? And I'm like, It's great, but in business, there's a lot of things that are going to make you have to push harder than you normally would. And that's when you people usually quit. And one of the things that I love so much about these stories is that it gives you the opportunity to look at where we can connect with other people who never quit. Like he never quit, y'all. Like if you look at the statistics behind this and FedEx today, the reason why I think he didn't quit, TC, and this is what I wanted to share too, because I loved how you said what were his challenges. Because FedEx is a company, but it was built by a student from Yale University that did a midterm paper and said, you know what, this is going to work. It wasn't like, oh, I want to help people and I want to do this. No. He looked in the market, he saw that it was no competition at the time. And so he said, if I make this, I know that this is going to work for these people, for this company. And it did. Until he got to a different space in his business. And I'm going to talk about this too, because I pulled up some of the key milestones in their growth. And one of the things that they struggled with in the founding year, which was 1971, which I already explained, that they had to secure capital to launch its operations. How many times, TC, do people go, well, I just don't have the money? Or they refuse to invest because they're like, well, I mean, I don't know where to get the money, right? So the money that I have, I got to use for my bills. I got to use for myself, right? And we don't know how to use other people's money. So we get stuck there because we're thinking that we have to use our money for everything. And if you look at the initial struggle, securing enough capital to launch its operations, he knew what he wanted to do, but he knew he had to get the money to do it. How many times, TC, do we start a business with like $0, right? And we're out here like promoting and selling. We don't have no business plan. We don't have no marketing structure. We're just like, hey, y'all, I got this great service. I got this great product. And, just buy from me. Now, that's good because that gives you confidence to show up. But when it comes down to running the business, that's where you have to ask for the sale. It always ends up with you asking for the sale, which in turn means asking for the money. And a lot of times we like to run a business and think, well, I just want to help people. I tell people this. I say, if you want to just help people, start a nonprofit, talk to people about how you get funding for that. And just make sure that other people that support that mission can just pour money into your nonprofit so that they're paying for the purpose that you want to serve, the community that you want to serve in. But when you operate a business that's a for-profit, right? This is the difference, is that you have to be able to feed your bottom line. And the first thing a business needs most of the time is capital. And the reason why we don't put a lot of capital in the business in the beginning is because we really don't necessarily know what the whole business is going to be. We're still figuring it out. And so what I always encourage people to do is in the beginning of your business, spend your time, right? Instead of currency, because time is currency. Your time is money. So spend time developing your business. Spend time writing down exactly how you're going to get the capital. How am I going to get this money? What bank am I going to talk to? I just talked to my banker a couple weeks ago, and he was like, you know what? I'm glad you walked in because I got a program just for you and your nonprofit. I'm like, really? They help you get capital. They help you get funding. They help you get all these things. Now, if I was, kind of like looking at it like I just want to serve and doing things like taking my paycheck from my job, from my 9 to 5 job, and paying my business with that, that's what most people do. And I think that we have to really be very strategic about how we're using what we call OPM, other people's money, and finding out who wants to invest in the type of concept or business that we have before we just jump out there and do it. Now, if you are an individual that's like, you know what, I just want to try it. I have the money. I'm going to do it anyway. do it. But while you're investing in your business, while you're taking that $500 out your pocketbook and putting it towards your LLC and putting it towards this and that, I can tell you that if you go to Urban League and you go through a program, they will give you the money to get your LLC, right? If you go to SBA and you get your business plan done and you get a mentor and you work on that thing while you're working your job, don't pull out $1,000. Get $1,000 as a loan, right? There's so many different ways that we can leverage money. And I think that sometimes when we look at these things, right, he learned from his struggles. He went to launch his operations and he didn't have enough capital, but he invested his personal fortune and sought out venture capital funding to sustain the business. That's how he was able to relocate. He didn't say, okay, I'm just going to take a chance and Lord help me. And I only got $5, but it's going to come, right? He didn't do that. He said, how do I secure this money? I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go after other people who also want to invest, venture capitalists, because he knew the value. He knew the value of his business. And that's from him actually establishing that business plan, understanding where it fit in the market, understanding who needs it, which was those ideal clients, and then telling that to someone like a venture capitalist or an investor and saying, hey, listen, this is going to be big. Do you want part of it? If so, let's negotiate, right? Because I need your money and you need this product. So I'm going to stop there because I think sometimes, TeeCee, we get so caught up in how we feel about business that we don't look at the component that business requires you to be a different person sometimes and to ask for things you normally would not have in order to make sure that that business is thriving. What do you say about that, TeeCee?
I agree. And while you were speaking, I actually wanted to say something. You know, um, I was having a meeting at the airport. I was having a meeting at the airport, and sometimes you have conversations, and then your conversations get eavesdropped. How? By maybe by some people, yeah. So I was just having a conversation, and then somebody close by, after like I think like some minutes, reached out, and she's like, "Oh, do you do business?" I'm like, "Yeah," and she's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a business consultant." She's like, "Oh yeah, I've been meaning to start my own business." And I said, "Okay, so what's stopping you?" And she's like, "I just don't have the money." And I'm like, "Well, you're not ready." And then she's looking at me and I'm looking at her and I'm like, "Yeah, you're not ready." Because if the first mindset to start your business is money, then you're not ready, because money is usually not the problem, because there are so many ways for you to get. I mean, you need money. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, you need money for you to start your business in the way you want to start your business. But it's not in the sense that most times we see it. I believe that it's actually the mindset in which we say it. "Oh, I want to do this, but I need money. Oh, I should have done this, but I need money." And then you start to think that the fact that you don't, in quotes, have that money that you think you need is the reason why you're not able to do what you want to do. No, it's not the reason. You are the reason why you're not able to move. I mean, Frederick understood. Between myself and you, we can both hear what Allegra was saying. You can also go and do your research, and you would realize that Frederick, obviously, as a student, how much does he necessarily have? I mean, in the entire piece, nobody said his parents were multi-trillionaires. Nobody said so, right? He, he was a student. He found an idea, which was not just an idea, but a solution. Now, imagine if Frederick said, "Oh, I want to develop this thing, but I don't have the money. And so let me just take a glass of water and forget about it." I mean, imagine if he said so, FedEx wouldn't be, like it's laughing, FedEx wouldn't be available right now. You see, what he did was understand what he had, understand what he doesn't have. Now use what he has to get what he doesn't have, so that he's able to, take advantage of the solution and get the word out about the solution. See, people when you have an amazing business, now not everybody is opportuned to be that intelligent, you know, as to think about the ideas that you have. That's one. Two, there's some people that they don't want to have to think about the ideas. They just want to make those ideas come to pass. Right? Now there are also some people who they don't, you see, all they care about is, can your ideas replicate my money? Can your ideas make my money useful? There's some people out there who just want to be sure that their monies are being used for a purpose. Their monies are being used, the right way, and it is multiplying. Now, it is your responsibility to fetch those people out. And I'm not saying go from door to door to look for those people. I'm saying do what you need to do, and those people would find you. So that excuse where you keep saying, "Oh, I don't have money, and so I'm just going to take a sip of coffee and just, go back to my whatever, or go back to my boring life, or go back to my frustrating life, or go back to my idea as to, okay, you know what, because I don't have, or because I don't, then you want to do something else, right?" And I feel like that's why Frederick is a good example of so many of us. Make that move, change that location, move, let people see you. Because I was saying something, Allegra, I was saying this to my husband, and I said, I've gotten to this stage where I only want to work with people who want to work with me and are interested in investing in what I have. Meaning, you're interested to put your money where your mouth is, right? I mean, if you're serious, you put your money where your mouth is. I can't tell you I'm going to make money for you and you're not ready to invest money. I mean, I run a business. When I start to run a charity home, right? I would let the world know. Okay, but I run a business that literally fund my lifestyle. I run a business that pay my bills, right? Now, if I'm going to help you do the same, you should be able to invest, right? Now, if you're not able to invest, I'm not saying invest out of your pocket. I'm saying be smart. Know that you can also use people's monies to grow your business. Now, that's the point we're trying to take all of this into. So don't go sitting down and thinking that myself and Allegra, expect you to take your life savings and then give it to us for us to help you start and grow your business or do whatever you want in your business. No, we are saying understand that there are various ways for you to get that money to be able to move that needle in your business, because you need the money to make things work. I have to pay payroll, right? I pay my team. I have people I pay. I outsource, So if I'm going to do that, then you need to do that as well. Okay? And it's a circle. Now, let's not make money a determining factor to slow the growth that your business is envisioned to have. I'm going to pause right there because Allegra be like taking notes. And I can't wait to hear what she has to say. But that's what I want to leave you with. Okay? Go on, Allegra.
I mean, this is such a deep type of conversation, and it's really for the mindset of a person who does not have an employee mindset. When you were speaking, TeeCee, I'm thinking, yeah, this conversation is so valid because a lot of times what we're doing is we're coming out of the 9 to 5 mindset. And when you do that, right, because we're talking about college student, like he was in Yale University, he wasn't thinking about no 9 to 5. He went straight into the entrepreneurship stage. And what that does is it equips you with things that are allowing you to be more free about the decisions you're making. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first started my business, I did not feel comfortable asking for money. It was so uncomfortable. It was one of the most uncomfortable things I ever did at that time because, in my experience as a child growing up in the family that I had, I mean, yeah, I was encouraged to ask for things, but it's different when you have the experiences when you have to ask and then you get the responses in a certain way or you get traumatized in certain ways. So we grow up in employee mentalities where we get paid every so often. We don't have to ask for that money. It just goes into your bank account. You don't have to, the only thing you have to ask for is a position at the workplace. But we never have to go to our employers every time we work and say, hey, are you going to pay that invoice? Hey, are you going to invest in me so that I can be here for a year? Are you going to give me my annual salary up front? Like, it's just not going to happen with your job. So when we get into business, right, what happens is the mindset has to shift because we're no longer sitting there working for someone and then all of a sudden the money just comes. Now we have to ask for the money first. We have to tell them what we're going to do for that exchange, and they have to be in agreement with that to say, I trust that when I give you this money, that you're going to do exactly what you say you're going to do. And what happens a lot of times is that we try to establish a business with a like no trust factor without even having anyone that likes, knows, and trusts us. So when I think about this story with FedEx was developed, and yes, TeeCee, you're right. If he did not overcome the objection of, I don't have the money, which we listen, I posted this on Facebook, I think a couple days ago. I said, stop accepting your own excuses. Stop accepting the things that you're telling yourself that is keeping you away from your actual goal. When you say you want to build that business, there's nothing stopping you from building your business but you. So when you get into a bind or a situation, that's why these conversations are so important, because when you get into a situation where you're like, oh my God, I ain't got the money. Well, TeeCee said it. I mean, we can get money in so many different ways. It's a matter of how bad do you want it. And when you get into a place of understanding that I really do want this, my goal is big enough where I know what I'm doing in my business and what I have is going to change lives. It's going to change my life. It's going to change the lives of other people. I know that I know that I know. The only thing that needs to take place now is your education of what to do. And that's why we teach. That's why we come together and do a lot of coaching sessions. And now we're consultants in the WIN community because we know that corporations are struggling too. But I want to encourage people that are saying these things, like, we saw the overcoming of the FedEx. If the owner, Mr. Smith, did not overcome that objection of, I don't have enough money, then we would not be here today getting overnight deliveries. Amazon, throw it out the water, right? You wouldn't be getting your Prime days. Us as business owners being able to give more satisfactory deliveries by getting people their stuff in a quicker manner, we wouldn't be able to give that satisfaction. Emergencies of people that need things right away, they wouldn't get that, so there's a dire need there that he was able to fix. And sometimes we know our business is that big, right? We understand that we are changing lives. Like, the things I do, TeeCee, I save marriages, I save lives. I have women that have literally come out of depression because they're like, I did not know what I know now. Knowledge and the implementation of knowledge is so much power. So we got to be able to know that there really is no real excuse, right? If you want to get it done, you can. But being able to be in that mindset, that takes something. It takes something. And so, I actually love this, because if we look at this, and I want to continue too, because in 1973, y'all, he launched that overnight delivery service. And what was so incredible about that for me was that he actually he saw the need, number one, and it was a turning point for FedEx. So sometimes we have a lot of products that we think are going to work, right? Like, how many times do you make like a bunch of different programs and services and products, and then you make a product or service and nobody buys it, or some people buy it but it's not really blowing up? So then you make another one, and then you do another one, and next thing you know, you have all these services and these product lines that aren't really selling, and you don't have that signature program that featured item or product that everybody wants. But when he launched the overnight delivery, that service was primal. FedEx delivered just 86 packages to 25 US cities on the first night of its launch. On the first night, they delivered 186 packages to 25 US cities. But listen to this, okay? The overnight model quickly caught on with businesses that relied on time sensitive deliveries, such as legal documents, medical supplies, financial transactions. And so the focus on speed, reliability, and guaranteed next day delivery set FedEx apart from any other logistics company. And the demand for its services surged, right? So we got to look at that too, because their company, that core model, it revolved like around centralized packaging, sorting, routine operations in one single hub in Memphis. In one hub, he didn't have to expand out to all these different locations. He did it from one place. And the packages would arrive at the hub from across the US to be sorted and dispatched to their destinations overnight. And it said that it allowed for significant operational efficiency, and it made FedEx the first company to offer nationwide delivery services at scale. And I want to stop there because listen, we're not going to be talking about FedEx after today. We're going to switch over the momentum to a new subject next week. But I just want to really, really make sure that we're covering as much as possible in this one, TeeCee, because I really love this story of how this signature service, which we still use today, is something that he didn't change and say, okay, well, that was good for a while. Let me do something different. Because honestly, this is what I think. I think the consistency of him being able to say, okay, we launched the overnight delivery service, that signature service, and just tweaking it and working it and making it better and better and better over time. I think that is what made it gold. Because sometimes we get like really excited because we have a launch and then like maybe 100 people buy, right? Because they had 186 deliveries in their first night. And say, for example, weeks after, they don't get as many, right? Like the momentum is gone. And that's what happens a lot of times in business. The momentum leaves. And then we go, oh, it's not working anymore. Right? We go, oh, they don't need it. I don't know if that happened. But if it did, it would have been detrimental if he would have stopped, right? It would have been detrimental to the world if he would have stopped because he had low sales one month. So I want to make sure that we understand that this consistency measure really did allow us as a whole in the world to leverage our businesses too. And so it's more than just money. What you're doing, what we're doing is more than just money. It means that someone later down the line gets to live a better life. And I want to emphasize that so much because when we get so caught up in the money of it, which is just a tool, a piece of child money, that's money, okay? Piece of paper. And when you understand the value of you opposed to the money you make, then you will attract exactly what you need. And it's not always about having it all the time. It's not always about, oh, I got $1 million in bank account. Most millionaires do not have $1 million in their bank account, okay? Those are assets. And you have to realize that when you look at your business and when you look at yourself, you have to have a millionaire mindset. Now, everybody doesn't want to be a millionaire, but you have to have the mindset of being able to utilize tools like money so that you can fund your business and you can do exactly what you want to do purposefully in your life and change other people's lives as well. That's the point. And so he did such a great job of just, finding the venture capitalists that are going to want to spend their money on his business. He did a great job, but it all started with a term paper. And I'm gonna tell y'all that term paper, I guarantee you, had that business plan in it. And I'm gonna see TeeCee if I can pull that term paper up. I don't know if they have it anywhere, but I would love to see what that term paper looked like because we have a lot of people that have lots of ideas. And I remember writing down one of my first business ideas. And I wrote it down in a notebook and I had all this stuff that I was so excited and right. And then the momentum died when I actually had to build the business because it required so much of me. It was like, oh my God, I got to get money. I got to get funding. I get a building. I don't want that. Right. So a lot of times the business plan allows us to decide if that's even what you want. Because if you start it and you just start doing it, and then you figure out 6 months down the line that that's not what you wanted, unfortunately, you've wasted 6 months. And we don't want to waste time. And so, a lot of times, the reason why we're hopping and skipping on ideas and plans and all these things that we think we should do is because we have no structure. And so, TeeCee, I'll release it over to you for, the end of this live, so you can share and tell me, exactly what you're thinking about this, because I believe that as we have been going through this series and listening and talking about these big brands, they started out as small businesses like us, and they still are somewhat in a way, because the mindset is really wrapped around the people that they serve. And I'm just going to end there.
Did we, every time we talk about starting our businesses, every time we talk about scaling our businesses, I think that so many of us forget a very vital part of this entire thing, our brand. I know, I'm not talking about the logos, the graphics. I was speaking to a client of mine. She's been a client for a good number of years, like 2 years now. And I said to her, I said, I think you've gotten to that stage in your business where you want to take yourself away from the too much graphics. Because you're a service provider, you breathe life. You need to understand that not be so my point is I don't have a problem with the graphics. What I have a problem is the fact that the graphics is a problem to her, because she spends loads of time, trying to design the graphics and all of that. And then now she's outsourcing this, and it feels, personally for me, it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel her. Now, because based on what you do, even when you want to create, ensure that you're breathing life to your creation. Okay? You're breathing life into your content. And when I keep talking about branding, I'm not saying your logos, which are very important, don't get me wrong. We're not talking we're talking something different. Take for instance, FedEx. Did you get the chance to actually go through their branding? Did you get the chance to understand that their branding is working, like it's taking step, it's moving, it's action, right? How many people, or rather how many delivery service does an overnight delivery? How many delivery service can you beat to your chest and say, okay, you know what, if I have, very sensitive documents, I could actually trust them to deliver at this time that I want them to deliver without having high blood pressure, or making, maybe putting your tool close to you, and then you're testing yourself just to be sure that your blood pressure isn't risen. Like how many? I'm just saying. We're talking branding, and Allegra be like, put the win. And he's like, yeah, I have mine. But that's okay, right? Because that's what we're talking about, right? We need to understand that not everything, we have to be so rigid about. Look at the source. So many of us, we play around shaft so much that we forget the meat. Like we play around so much of the shell that we forget the insides. Makes us who we are as a brand, as a business. Why would anyone want to work with us? Why would anyone want to come back after they finish sampling every other person, and they come back and be like, okay, you know what, I want to work with you. Now you want to, if you want to make money, if you're looking to making money between now and the end of the year, that's something you want to think about, because that is what you're going to use and leverage in your marketing messages, in your pieces, because that's basically what's going to make you stand out. See, even if you have all the money in the world, but yet to understand your source, You're yet to understand and identify your own secret, because everybody has a secret sauce. The question is, what is yours? I mean, so many of us, Frederick was fortunate enough to understand his, identify his, and stick with his, grow with his, believe in his, have faith in his, and let it work for him. But so many of us, we're so stuck up on what every other person is doing. We forget that even when it comes down to branding, it comes down to your brand, it comes down to your brand element. It's a work in progress. You grow. It is scalable. It's not rigid. It's not, oh, this is what they do, I must do the same. So what makes you different? What basically stands you out? Now, all of these things, I really want us to go back and think about it. I want us to go back and look at it. I don't know if you heard this properly, but when it comes down to like the slogan, or rather what makes FedEx who they are, is they focusing on reliability and speed. I know they're like, okay, when it's absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Well, it could be. The question is, what is yours? How would people remember you? What would they think about every time they think about you? What will come to their mind for them to say, oh, yeah, that is TeeCee, or this is how it works, or this is how she works, or this is how I can trust her. So many people just might be doing what you are doing, but they can't necessarily do it how you're doing it. And I'm not saying that this would give you $1 billion overnight, but I'm saying that this would help you stay in business for hundreds, thousands. Now, when everyone is falling apart, you're staying strong, you're scaling, you're growing, you're exceeding your own initial um initial goals, and it's a work in progress. Okay? And we want to be very intentional. FedEx didn't start where they are right now. They had a beginning. You should also be happy at your humble beginnings, because that is a yardstick for you to tell a story. So don't go telling yourself that you're going to wake up in the morning, start a business, and then boom, you're blowing. No, take it slow. Walk the work. Okay. So many of us obviously have stories, behind the scenes stories. You're just not hearing all of it. Because imagine if I come out and tell you all of the horrible things that happen. Yeah, you're literally like closing up social media and be like, oh no, there's so nasty things happening. Everyone is suffering, bad things, block, block, block. You will get so frustrated. You will be like, oh my gosh, nothing good is happening in this life. I need to go and do something else. No. But the truth is, the earlier you start to understand that there's something called humble beginnings, and it's beautiful when you understand it. Is that while you are going through your humble beginnings, we don't want you to start from ground zero. We want you to at least start from ground 20. Now, how can we take you to that ground 20? Because the truth is, if you're going to be starting off, you can't get to ground 20 on your own. If you're going to do it on your own, there's a likelihood that you're going to have to start from ground zero, right? Which can be a bit frustrating. But imagine if you had to start maybe ground 20. It's easier. And that's why we're here, right, Allegra? That's why we're here. Now, we're not telling you that we're going to make things perfect for you, but we are saying that we're going to ensure that you enjoy owning a business, that you are proud when somebody say, do you have a business? You'd be like, push your head up and then, make it set, and you'd be like, yes, I own this business. Why? Because you're proud of your creation. You're proud of your business. You're not only able to grow, you're able to see the progress. You're able to see the transition. You're able to see the transformation. Okay. And we are saying this to you because we also have our humble beginnings. I mean, we also have phases we're passing through right now, but we're here. We're still in the business. And that's what we want to do for you. We want to and reaping from it of all of your effort. Okay. So that's what I had to say. I need you to go back. This is Q4. You want to make the difference. Okay. Let that difference count. You want to do it right. Okay. Over to you, Allegra.
I love everything you said. I mean, the truth is that we all are going through, we're growing through every challenge. That's the truth. And I could not help my clients if I didn't know how to help myself, right? Like, that's also the truth. So a lot of these things that we do teach, especially while we're having these conversations, we're pulling out things that we know are pivotal, because these are the areas where my clients have the most struggle. These are the areas where when they come, like, listen, TeeCee, you know how we work. We do not sugarcoat, because the truth is, in order for you to be successful, you need to hear the truth. You need to know that, what's working and what's not working. You need to understand that you are the thing in your way. And then some of the things that I love, TeeCee, when, we determine, like, when we figure it out, we're like, oh my God, I'm the problem. Am I the problem? That's when you can make the change. And I love that when we get into a space where we understand that we always have to check ourselves, we always have to keep ourselves accountable. And that's what coaching and consulting does. It keeps you accountable to the things that you say you're going to do. It helps you understand direction that you normally don't have. It gives you the intention and the confidence that you have a partner with you that really, really enjoys what you're doing too. I've even had my clients tell me, Allegra, if you're not with me, I don't know if I can run this business. And I have to tell them, this is not about me. It's about you. And if you don't feel confident enough to run this business, then we have to revisit this. Because the truth is that if you're not comfortable showing up on camera, TeeCee, I heard what you said. When you said that, sometimes we're posting lots of graphics and we're posting lots of things that look attractive, right? One of the things that I had to get one of my clients out of the habit of is posting offers all the time. And the same, like, it's cool because people saw it. They saw it the first time. Okay. And posting it again and again and again is great, because you do want to remind people about what you're talking about, but you have to have a diverse multi-channel marketing strategy that's going to allow you to reach those people wherever they are. And when we don't feel good about our businesses, when we're struggling and when we don't have guidance, we tend to hide from wanting to show everyone what we have going on. And that's what we want to give you confidence about, like showing up on your good days and your bad days, being able to know exactly what you're offering that is good, no matter how you feel, and being able to get the resources, whether it's the money you need to start the business, right? I mentioned there's funding out there, whether it's getting the resources, the partnerships, the organizations you need to get with. I'm telling you that in January, and this is what I'll end with, in January, the Corporate Transparency Act is going into effect with the BOIR here in the United States. And TeeCee, you need to know this too, because the United States, we operate off of foreign entities too. So you may have a foreign entity in the United States. If you are doing business in the US and you do not have that report filled out under that Corporate Transparency Act, you will be charged $500 a day. And the problem with that is that they know that your business is your business because we're registered on the Secretary of State website. Now, the other component to it is that it allows them to see who is not legitimate. And if you're operating as a business, they will actually take you down. Like, they will literally make it illegal for you to operate. So we have to be very clear about why we start a business. You don't have to start a business. There's a lot of hobbies out there. There's a lot of, side hustles out there. It's great. But when you start a business, you're going to have to sit down and get very focused on your goals, on your opportunities, and you're going to have to be willing to move even when you don't feel like it. And that's what we're here to help you do. TeeCee, thank you again for joining me. As always, like, we always have this conversation. And next week, TeeCee, what are we going to talk about next week? What do they need to prepare for?
Clubhouse. Okay, so I want us to talk about Clubhouse, right? Because listen, That's such an amazing platform. Amazing platform. The fact that we get to learn from the platform, the fact that so many of us watching this have experienced the journey of Clubhouse. And so I want us to talk about it because trust me, there's so much we can learn from them. There's so much we can learn from their wins, their not too good wins, everything from in and out. I don't want to spill the beans right now, but I just want you to be intentional about next week. Okay. Allegra is sharing something. Yeah, that's it. Now, I want you to be intentional about joining us next week because we're going to be talking about Clubhouse. We're going to be breaking down Clubhouse, how they started, where they are, what you should take out from it, what you should learn from the brand, and what you should not learn as well. Everything about it, because there's so much story to tell. And I'm sure that you also have a story to tell when it comes down to Clubhouse. So pull up, join us next week, same time, 12 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about Clubhouse. And I want to hear what you think about it. Allegra?
Gosh, yeah, I had to take that screen down because I was getting all excited. Clubhouse is going to be really, really good next week. And TeeCee, thank you for the just breaking that down for everyone. And if you're not on Clubhouse, I would just say before we go do that, that live next week, I want you guys to join Clubhouse and test it out for yourself, see how much fun it is. But we're going to break down some things because we've been on Clubhouse since the inception, since, it was invite only, when we didn't have, the houses and things like that. It's so, so different, y'all. And I think that we have to break this down because Clubhouse was made for a reason, right? Like their original brand and model was created for musicians, artists, creators. That's what it was for. It wasn't for what we're using it as today. So we're going to look at that transition. We're going to look at that history of it. We're going to look at the owners and who they are. And for those of you who use Clubhouse, right, this is now your opportunity to get some of that back end information as to, why you're no longer on the app, because a lot of people have left because of the changes and don't even know why Clubhouse changed the way that they did. So we're going to dig deep into Clubhouse next week. So if you are in Clubhouse and you want to understand more about the changes of that brand over time, we're going to be discussing that next week. All right. Y'all drop your questions in the comments after we leave this live. You will have access to our platforms. Follow myself and TeeCee so you can see our lives in the future. And make sure that you tell us if you learned something new and how it impacted you in your business and your life. All right. Y'all have an amazing week and we will see you next time.